Good evening, and thank you very much for keeping a date with us on the program Transforming Agriculture in Nigeria. I'm your host, Gabriel Ojile. Farm inputs are indispensable in maintaining soil fertility, controlling weeds, and ensuring bumper harvests. To ensure the quality and availability of these inputs for farmers in the country, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security has Farm Input Support Services Department. How this department delivers on the mandate in helping to ensure food security in Nigeria is the focus of tonight's episode of the program. But before then, we have news from the diary of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Please, do stay tuned.
A good part of Nigeria has something to offer.
Peace and unity.
Thank you very much.
The National Cocoa Management Committee has appealed to the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security to support the committee in funding, facilitating legislative backing, and meeting the European Union quality standards for cocoa.
Monitoring of cocoa sector's activities in Nigeria.
The Chairman, National Cocoa Management Committee, Engineer Abdullahi Garba Abubakar, who was represented by the Secretary of the Committee, Patrick Adebola, made this appeal while briefing the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security on the objectives, achievements, and challenges of the committee. Patrick Adebola further appealed to the ministers to ensure that necessary support is given to cocoa to boost the production and quality of Nigeria cocoa ahead of the forthcoming assessment by the European Union Deforestation Regulation EUDR.
Meeting the EUDR target on deforestation, this is very crucial and it's important. The EUDR regulation is coming into force at the end of this year, after which, if we are found to be non-compliant, most of our cocoa beans, or majority of our cocoa beans, will be rejected in the European, will not be able to be sold in the European market. So we need to, as a matter of urgency, try to put things in order to make sure that we put in place how we can comply with those regulations.
This is with a view to boosting the production of cocoa.
Responding to the briefing, the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, stated that in 2023, Nigeria cocoa contributed 28% of the agricultural contribution to the nation's economy, and the crop has high investment opportunities, promising that the ministry would work with the committee and European Union to ensure that Nigeria cocoa meets regulatory requirements, as well as enhance its production in Nigeria.
On the issue of the European Union Deforestation Regulation, which you just mentioned, the EUDR, threats to Nigerian cocoa, it is therefore more urgent than ever for Nigeria's EUDR preparedness assessment check to be undertaken, and therefore the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security will support the European Union to embark on the assessment as was done for other cocoa producing countries such as Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, and so on. Also, it is noteworthy that the African Development Bank have funds to support the development of cocoa in Nigeria, as mentioned by the NCMC chairman. Therefore, this ministry will work through the NCMC to access this fund for the development of cocoa sector and implementation of the National Cocoa Plan 2023 to 2032.
The agro-vengeance and the Civil Defense Corps.
In a bid to protect the lives and property of farmers and others in the agricultural value chain to guarantee food security in the country, the Honorable Minister of State, Federal Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, visited the Commandant General, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps at the Corps headquarters in Abuja. Speaking during the visit, the Minister of State stressed the need for more synergy between the ministry and the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps to safeguard the lives of farmers and farm produce in this rainy season and beyond. He assures the NSCDC of the support of the ministry to Agro-Rangel Special Marshals of the Corps to safeguard the agricultural sector.
The rainy season is here, and we want to activate this relationship, refocus it, and strengthen it so that we can begin to see more foot on the ground in terms of agro-ranger services to support farm operations and all the other value chain actors spread across our farming communities. Our mission is that simple, but I also know it requires a lot of work.
Welcome, my big brother.
In his response, the Commandant General of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Ahmed Abubakar Audi, assured the ministry of the readiness of the Corps to secure the lives of farmers and farm produce through its agro-ranger operation.
As you rightly pointed, sir, the provision of safety and security for farms, farmlands, farmers, and other allied investment lies with the agro-rangers of this Corps. And I'd like to tell you that we have our personnel, agro-ranger personnel, in virtually all the states. We will be requiring you, sir, to avail the Corps with the current document that has a list of farming communities, in the nation. That one will give us a guide to review our operational guidelines as far as agro-rangers activities are concerned.
The Minister of State, while at the headquarters of the NSCDC, inspected the Guard of Honor.
Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security and Nigerian Meteorological Agency (NIMET) partner to disseminate NIMET's Seasonal Climate Prediction (SCP) to farmers across the regions and entire Nigeria. NIMET's SCP for 2024 forecasts a normal onset of rains over the northern states. Borno, Abia, and Akwa Ibom states will have early onsets of rains. Rain is predicted to end early in states of Yobe, Jigawa, Sokoto, Kebbi, Kano, Kaduna, Plateau, Nasarawa, Taraba, Gombe, Bauchi, Cross River, Ebonyi, Ogun, and Lagos states. While there's a late prediction for cessation of rains in the southern states of Bayelsa, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, Ondo, Ekiti, and parts of Edo, Delta, Ogun, Oyo, Kogi, Kwara, FCT, Niger, and Kaduna states. Temperatures are predicted to be warmer than normal in most parts of the country from January to May. Download the full SCP report on www.nimet.gov.ng or contact the State Ministry of Agriculture in your state. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security.
There is no agriculture without farm input. As a matter of fact, it is the quality of input and the care you give to the soil that determines what you get from it. This underscores the importance of farm input in ensuring the food security of a nation. In our next segment, Records of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, we are focusing on the importance of farm inputs, the mandate of the Farm Input Support Services Department of the Ministry, the achievements of the department, and its impact in ensuring food security in Nigeria. Stay with us, don't go away.
Farm inputs such as fertilizer, pesticides, and improved varieties of seed enhance crop yield. These inputs provide essential nutrients to plants, protect them from pests, disease, and weeds, and ensure a bumper harvest for food security. This underscores why the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security has a department called Farm Input Support Services (FISS), with the mandate to ensure availability of farm input and regulate the farm input industries. The Director, Farm Input Support Services Department, Abana Waziri Abba, gives us more insight on the mandate of the department.
My mandate is actually in the area of input supports to our smallholder farmers. Not only smallholder farmers, but even the large-scale farmers. And this input can be categorized into two. We have the fertilizer, and this fertilizer, it may be organic fertilizer, it may be inorganic fertilizer. In addition to these two different types of fertilizer, we have the agrochemicals. The agrochemicals are the pesticides and the herbicides. So these are the inputs that we are to support the farmers And the reason why we are supporting the farmers is to ensure that this quality fertilizer, enough quantity, is given to the farmers at an affordable rate.
As important as farm inputs are in ensuring food security, poor quality and improper use of fertilizer and agrochemicals could destroy the soil, the environment, and human health. This explains why the department also has the mandate of regulating the farm input subsector and ensure quality at all times.
The department has the mandate to regulate the quality of these fertilizers and agrochemicals. And that was the reason why the department facilitated the Fertilizer Quality Control Act that was enacted into law in 2019. And that Fertilizer Quality Control Act is what we are using it to guide us in our mandate, in the execution of our mandate. And this is the act, and it was enacted and it passed into law in 2019. And the regulation, this is the regulation for the implementation of this act.
The Fertilizer Quality Control Act 2019 empowers the department to ensure the quality of fertilizers in the country. Fertilizer manufacturing companies are expected to register with the department.
The act is just a law regulating the fertilizer industry in Nigeria. It regulates both importers, manufacturers, and distributors within the country. What it simply means now is that for anybody to enter into fertilizer business in Nigeria, they must be registered with Farm Input Support Services Department. And I always tell people, the excess of registration is not just to make money. We want to know the identity of the operators of the fertilizer industry. We want to know you. We want to know where you're doing your business so that we'll be able to monitor your activities. So what we basically do now is to ensure that the fertilizers that are sold to farmers in Nigeria meet the minimum quality standards.
The department has over the years recorded a lot of achievements which include technical support in the enactment of the Fertilizer Quality Control Act 2019, provision of subsidized fertilizers and agrochemicals to farmers as well as free distribution.
The subsidy the ministry is giving, if a farmer is so allowed to buy fertilizer now, they can't afford. Where is the money for the smallholder farmer to buy a product that is 1 bag? Like now, let's say 1 hectare or half a hectare, a farmer will now make use of 3 bags of fertilizer. And if 1 bag is 30,000, 40,000, 40,000 times 3, 120,000, isn't it? 120,000. How can a smallholder farmer afford 3 bags of fertilizer at 40,000 per bag for a half an hectare? But with the government intervention, they can able to afford. We subsidize to 50, sometimes we even subsidize more than 50, and the farmer can afford. So this is a great achievement.
The department has also been able to create an enabling environment that protects investment in the farm input industry through the Act.
First is the law. That law is one of the strongest enabling environment. Genuine investors have the assurance that the investment is protected in the country. How? If you're doing a genuine business, I am doing an illegal business, your product sells for 50,000, for instance, of the same quantity, and because I'm doing illegal business, I'm offering it for 20,000. It's going to affect your market share. Generally, because uninformed farmers want to patronize cheaper product than your own. You're the genuine investor. I am the illegal man operating. I am offering a cheaper, low-quality product, but because they are not informed, they go for it. So now every investor will want to look at what are the legal framework operating in such a country, in the industry I want to invest. Is my investment going to be protected? Now, one of the 3 major objectives of this fertilizer regulatory system is to protect the fertilizer enterprises, the fertilizer industry. Number 2 is to protect the farmers. Then number 3 is to protect the environment.
The department has also made giant strides in supporting the implementation of the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative.
There's what we call the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative. When the price of dollar started rising, we said, no, if we allow individuals to source dollar from the open market, from the parallel market, we go to import these materials for blending, then that what it simply means is that the price of NPK is going to be very high. Because apart from urea, we need diammonium phosphate, we need muriate of potash to produce NPK fertilizers in the country. And the only one we are producing locally is urea. We need to import diammonium phosphate called DAP. We need to import muriate of potash, MOP. And then people were sourcing the forex from the parallel market. Of course, you know the implication of that on the price of the imported material.
In producing fertilizer, it is imperative for fertilizer manufacturers to abide by the quality standard that a fertilizer must have. But are the set standards of fertilizer suitable for the Nigerian soil?
We work in conjunction with the Standard Organization of Nigeria, who has the mandate of setting standards for fertilizer and other products. So going by the standard that we have, we analyze to ensure that the parameters, like you have the NPK, you have the calcium, you have the ammonium, you have the sulfate fertilizers, those things are there, and that the organic fertilizers must not have heavy metals. There are minimum allowable limits of elements that the standard organization specified that a fertilizer, especially organic, should have.
The program is transforming agriculture in Nigeria, and we are looking at the Farm Input Support Services Department of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, and its contribution towards ensuring the availability of farm inputs as well as food security in the country. The department is not an island on its own. It also works with other stakeholders in ensuring the availability of quality farm inputs to farmers. In our next segment, Partnership for Development, we are focusing on the partnership and collaboration between the department and other stakeholders. We shall also unveil some procedures a farmer must follow to benefit from the fertilizer donated by the Central Bank of Nigeria, as well as other interventions from the FISS department to farmers.
Agricultural production, processing and marketing involves many partners in order for it to be successful. In the same vein, the policies and programs of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security involves many stakeholders.
Our major stakeholders, as I mentioned earlier, are the fertilizer operators. Fertilizer operators are the manufacturers, the fertilizer manufacturers, the importers, as well as the distributors. So these are our stakeholders. Then, apart from that, who are the people benefiting from this input? Farmers. Farmers are also major stakeholders. The small holder farmers, the large-scale farmers, they are all our major holders.
In ensuring the quality of fertilizer and other farm inputs, the Farm Input Support Services Department of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security partners with the Standard Organization of Nigeria (SON) and Agricultural Research Institutes.
We do for feed evaluation. That one is just to see the response of crop to each of these fertilizers. That's what we do. We submit the fertilizer to feed evaluation, and we don't conduct it by ourselves. For every fertilizer produced, the manufacturer is expected to declare a particular crop that is called test crop. This fertilizer performs best in so crop. So based on the test crop declared by the manufacturer, we look for a relevant agricultural research institute that have mandate over that test crop. This is where we send the samples of that fertilizer for feed evaluation, so that they can subject it to feed for one growing season, report back to us the response of crop to that fertilizer. Then we'll compare it with what the producer has declared, and we'll be able to say, oh, has he lied to us, or have we been able to confirm the efficacy of these fertilizers?
The department also works with international bodies, security agencies, among other stakeholders.
The enforcement, the regulations cannot work without the assistance of the security agents. So the security agents are also our major stakeholders. Because if we want to distribute product, we must definitely work alongside with the security personnel, the DSS, the police, civil defense, customs. So they are all our major stakeholders. We have international stakeholders too. We are affiliated to International Fertilizer Development Center. You understand? We have AGRA.
The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security is also working with the Central Bank of Nigeria to ensure that farm inputs are made available to farmers. The result of the collaboration is the recent donation of 2.15 million bags of fertilizer to farmers by the Central Bank of Nigeria through the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security.
We are delighted to announce the allocation of 2.15 million bags of fertilizer valued at over 100 billion naira, which we are humbly handing over to the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Honorable Minister, you were in your opening making a statement about you were expecting that there will be some goodies coming from the CBN. I think this is more than just goodies. This contribution from the central bank is aimed at amplifying food production capabilities and fostering price stabilization within the agricultural sector.
The donation of fertilizer by the CBN is much appreciated by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, just as the minister pledged to ensure that the fertilizers get to the farmers across the country.
We want to express our profound appreciation on behalf of the Nigerian farmers to His Excellency the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, and also to you, our dear brother, the Governor of Central Bank, and your team, for giving us this wonderful, wonderful gift. And I assure you that it will be judiciously used, and will deliver it to the last mile, to the intended persons, to the intended farmers, where they can reap the benefits of this huge gesture, and by in turn to cultivate and produce more that will stem the galloping food inflation that is affecting our country.
This fertilizer would be distributed to farmers across the country this wet season, but farmers must ensure that they are registered in the list of farmers from their various states and the FCT to benefit.
So once the farmer is registered in the state, and the submission from the state governor, the list of farmers that is submitted from the state governor's office, if they are registered within the state, not minding the crops they are into farming, be it a rice farmer, wheat farmer, cassava farmer, maize farmer, cowpea farmer, any farmer, once it is captured in the state from the list that they submitted, definitely the farmer can benefit. There's no way that the fertilizer will not reach. And what the CBN even emphasized, that let every farmer in the state get that input free. So that is what the CBN is emphasizing, and what the Honorable Minister is also emphasizing. The Honorable Minister emphasized that we must ensure that nobody is left out, no farmer is left out.
Farm inputs, no doubt, are very important in food production, and it's imperative for government at all levels, development partners and stakeholders to support farmers with inputs. Key actors such as fertilizer manufacturers should also ensure that they maintain the quality of fertilizer at all times in order to keep the environment safe and ensure increased productivity. This is where we end tonight's program. Do join me again, same time, same station next week for more news and insight into the agriculture sector and the efforts of the federal government to attain food security and create wealth through agriculture. I am Gabriel Ojile. Enjoy the rest of your evening.